Hi again. Hi everybody, I'm Joey from Roadmap Writers. Good morning. Los Angeles, very windy. So hopefully the internet stays in our favor throughout this whole thing. So cool. So this is the first time we're doing something like this. And basically, I'm sure some of you are already in the Career Writer program. Some of you might have questions about the Career Writer program. And another reason why we wanted to do this is so you could hear from your peers what feedback they've been given over the years, or what feedback they've heard execs give their peers over and over again. Because in the top tier program, well, like kind of everything with the Career Writer program is mostly everything's in a group setting. So you hear the feedback that your peers get, plus obviously you get the feedback for yourself as well. But it's important that you see what other people are doing as well. Because I think sometimes we're all kind of in a tunnel, in a bubble, and we don't really kind of see the bigger picture. I am definitely in that arena. So sometimes I just have to remind myself to kind of see what else is going on, so I could see, I could also grow from what other people are doing. For those of you who've never done a Zoom before, there's a chat box and a Q&A box. If you have any questions, but just hold off for a beat. Wait till about 30, 40 minutes into it, and then you can start typing in your questions. So I'm going to do the first 30 minutes, and then Alex Davies, our Director of Education, is going to come in and take over, and then she'll finish the questions that we're going to ask the writers, and then you guys could ask questions to them, any questions you have, and you can put that in the Q&A box in about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, Jerry. Cool. So we'll jump in a second, but before we do that, a couple of quick things. Tomorrow, Monday at 5 p.m., me and Dorian, our COO, is going to be doing our yearly reflection webinar, and it's free, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we've done that every year so far, and it's basically looking back at the year, kind of sharing our insights that our execs have given us, just any trends, et cetera, et cetera. So it covers a lot of different things. And also before we get started, just a couple of quick fun success stories. This past few weeks have been really crazy with all these people getting signed. And I think in the past 5 weeks, we've had 4 writers signed. Last week we had a top tier writer get signed to APA. We also, one of our top tier writers just got a script picked up by Lionsgate, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun and craziness as we wrap up the year. So, okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring in a few of the writers in top tier, and then we're going to just get started. One of the, you might be asking yourselves, why did we pick these specific top tier writers? So in our Career Writer program, there's 4 steps. There used to be 5, and then we combined 2, so now there's 4. And most of these writers came through the Career Writer program together. So it was interesting to us to see how they've seen each other grow, kind of the camaraderie that they have, because it was so cute. They really just became really good friends throughout the program. And it's exciting to see, because again, so many times writers can live in a bubble, and not kind of see the bigger picture. So that's why we chose some of them, and let's get started. So I'm just gonna promote you guys one by one to panelist, so that we can see you. So the first one is Angie. Oh, sorry, that's my dog. My dog is not doing webinar today. First, you have Angie Engelbert. So let me promote you. I'm just close my door too. Hey, Angie.
Oh, wait, where I am. Oh, hey.
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm great.
Cool. Okay, next we have Craig Bealer. So let me promote you. Hey, Craig.
Joey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Awesome. And next we have James Moore. So let's see, promote to panelist. James, I expect you to have pancakes all around you right now, because James really loves his pancakes. So let me promote you to panelist. All right, my hair Angie, why didn't you say anything? My hair is crazy this morning.
Look at mine. Look at mine. Jeez.
Craig, your hair is beautiful. So, hey, James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning, Joe?
I'm good. Okay, cool. And I think your internet's a little wonky, but that's okay. And then next we have Jessica. I'm just going to start just like pulling people in. Hopefully I'm getting everybody that's supposed to be doing this. Hey, Jessica. And then we have Shawn, Parikh. And then we have Susan, Sassi. So, okay, cool. Hi, everybody. See, Shawn had the right idea having a beanie on. That's what I should be doing because it is that kind of day. Very windy in Los Angeles. So is everybody, so Angie, James, Jessica, Shawn, and Craig. Well, actually, you're all in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, cool. That's so fun. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good.
Good.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and was like, why the F am I doing a webinar at 9?
I had the same thought.
What did Alex what are you doing? So correct me if I'm wrong. Angie, Shawn, and Craig, you went through the program together.
Yes.
And then James, Jessica, and Susan, have you guys been in any groups together before the top tier program?
Susan and I have.
Yeah, Jessica, your hair looks awesome, by the way. I love it.
Thank you.
New haircut.
Yeah.
And James, you've been in top tier for a beat.
I came through the diversity program and was pretty much snatched into the Joey Tuccio, bring your butt over here and let's get this.
Well, first off, we all have to shake a finger at Susan because Susan did not come to our holiday party. And we
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. You know, I wanted to come so bad. I started this new thing, this new business, trying to make money, and it's just been hell.
Yeah, I totally get it.
And you're on my calendar. Like I literally was planning to come, and then just like all this crap hit the fan, and I was
Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It was all
It's
good.
a good time.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do that a couple of times a
Okay.
year. So cool. So let me put you all on mutes. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep you all on mute, like unmuted, just so you guys could just kind of talk. You don't have to unmute yourself every 5 seconds. So I'm gonna go. We have some questions to ask. I might, because there's so many questions and because there's a lot of you, I might cut off a few just so we could just get to the heart of it a little bit. So the first question is how did you introduce yourselves and stuff, but I mostly just want to know if you guys want to go around really quickly and just say, and maybe we'll go in, I'll just call out your name, what kind of genres you like to write in, and how you heard about Roadmap, and then we'll go into the nitty gritty about everything. So I'll try to go in alphabetical order. So we'll go start with Angie.
Cool. So I get to brag about myself.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Just what's your name? What kind of genres you like to write?
Oh, okay. Angie Engelbert. I like to write a lot of young adult drama, specifically TV. I've written a couple of features because I work with high schoolers and I have for a very, very long time. But the tie that binds it, whether it's comedy, drama, TV or film, is that it's usually a very, very strong protagonist going against odds and trying to like change a system. And specifically, I got involved with Roadmap because 2 years ago, I was at Austin Film Festival. A short I had written had made top 25 of Screencraft, I'm sorry, I don't think it was Screencraft. Table My Screenplay, ISA, at Austin Film Festival. And I was also in pitch finals, and at one of the parties, I got to meet Jorge, who's one of the, is he a founder or?
He's not a founder. He's a director of operations.
Director of operations, who got me, who told me about Roadmap, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So I signed up when I got back, and I'm really glad that I did.
Let me just preface by saying, as I was reading the questions, I was kind of like, oh, I feel like some of them are like, so how'd you hear about how great we are? Like, it seems a little like cheesy. So, because I also think it's important because I feel like there's so many organizations that I heard about.
There are.
My immediate thought would be like, I'm skeptical. This is like, oh, just one of those other programs. So like I'm Italian. I'm from New York. I am skeptical about everything. So I would just like I just always feel kind of it's important to say. But Angie, I love Jorge so much. He's so great.
No, I think exactly what you said is important because probably all of us have gone through and be like, what's going to be beneficial for us? And looking at the success stories and how quickly you've grown in 3 years, that's what sold me on it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And next, okay, let's see if I can remember alphabetical order. Okay, Craig.
That's me. Hey, everybody. I'm Craig Bealer. I'm an attorney turned writer, so I focus a lot on legal type of scripts. I like stuff with social issues. And so one of my scripts is a homeless attorney, has bipolar. Another script is a hostage prison situation with an attorney. So I just kind of, just like those types of stories. I heard about Roadmap because you guys emailed me a zillion times. I think I was just on some email list, just, signing up for all this Hollywood type of stuff and networking things. And I was like, ugh, these people. And I was totally skeptical because I'm like, oh, this just sounds like pay to play. Like, why do I have to do this? But it's also like really hard to meet people in Hollywood and like to meet the right people. So I'm like, you know what, let me just do that first. I think it was like a 4-week thing where it's just like you kind of went through like pitching and the two sheets and all that, like the little thing. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. Like everyone is so awesome at Roadmap and Joey, like everything makes you feel really comfortable. And then, and from there it was just like, and so I couldn't wait to do the next thing and the next thing and just keep on learning and meeting people because like I said, it's like really hard, I think, to kind of, it's almost like dating, right? It's like, how do you meet people? And I didn't come up through like a traditional, film school and I had a career as an attorney for many years. So I felt like not too old in the game, but just needed like that go between me and Hollywood. So
yeah,
that's why I jumped in on it. Yeah.
Do you think I should send more emails?
I would say probably.
Maybe more emails. Yeah. I'm going to do like 10 more today. Well, Craig, thank you. And James?
Hi, my name is James Moore. I predominantly write thrillers, action, supernatural suspense stuff. I love stories where the hero is an underdog, someone who has to battle against seemingly overwhelming odds to right a wrong, to overcome an injustice, or just to kick somebody's ass, because that's just the world that I live in. I got into Roadmap actually by having my ass kicked by Nicola Pittum, who literally browbeat me for several months to get in to the diversity program. I mean, literally, she sat at a Crave Cafe one day and like berated me for an hour and a half.
Wow, geez, that's intense.
It was intense because she was like, "You can do this. You've got this, and make it happen." And I've never regretted it. Loved everything I've learned thus far. Extraordinary camaraderie and the tactical knowledge that you get from Roadmap is like bar none from any other program that's out there. A lot of people teach you about how to write, but nobody actually teaches you about the business and how to navigate and actually what you do when you actually meet people and how to develop relationships. And this has by far been the best.
Oh, well, that's so great. I promise I'm not like, this whole webinar is not going to be like, tell us how great we are. I just feel like, and also James, Erica Land says hi.
Oh, hey, Erica, tell her I said hello. I didn't get a chance to see her after she just got recently picked up for the diversity program.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think she's on the webinar now. So we're going to, hi, Erica. Cool. So let's see. So next we have Jessica.
Hello. So I'm Jessica. I primarily write grounded sci-fi because I work in augmented and virtual reality and like to see how technology is going to challenge humanity and follow similar patterns of today's tech tomorrow. And I learned about Roadmap because I'm in the Producers Guild and I participated in this Pitch to Win conference where they're trying to get more female writers and producers pitching better. And Roadmap facilitated. And so Joey, you actually gave me my first little pitch lesson before I went, and I then got to pitch to executives and both of them requested. And I realized I couldn't pitch very well and wanted to really understand how to sell myself as a writer, which I had never done before.
Cool. I love it. Awesome. Well, how long ago was that pitch?
It was just last June, I think.
It was last June, the June that just passed, right?
It was, June 2019, and then I joined, I think, in July.
Oh, cool.
So,
awesome. Oh my God, the months are like flying by. It's crazy. I
know.
Next is Shawn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shawn Parikh. I joined Roadmap about last year, maybe a little less than a year. I did the Roadmap Diversity Initiative, which was awesome. That's how I found it. I really wanted to write more. I write a lot of stories. So I moved out here to LA to be an actor. I've been doing that, have had some success, but I didn't start feeling creatively fulfilled until I started writing my own content. So I write a lot of stories about people pursuing what really makes them happy. It's a lot of comedy with a lot of heart. So I would say it's mostly dramedy, but more focused on the comedy. That's probably more, and especially focused on Indian American content and that identity, because there's a lot of stuff going on in my head all the time about it. So.
And you're doing a web series now too.
Yes. I met someone through Roadmap so the great thing about Roadmap is I actually get to meet people, and living here so long, it's all about who you know. I met a producer who helped fund a pilot I wrote this year. So we shot a pilot episode, and now we're shopping it around to get more money to shoot more. So it's been really cool.
Cool, I love it. By the way, it's so funny. So when at the party, Angie walked in, and the first thing she said is, "Where's my hose at?" And I was like, "What are we just talking about?" And Shawn, Craig, like you guys are just like, you guys really just started like such a camaraderie between you guys, and I thought that was so, not to embarrass you, Angie, or any of you, but I thought that was so cute. I loved it.
We didn't mean to be cliquey.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk.
Very cliquey. So cool. Thanks, Shawn. And Susan?
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Sassi. I have trouble sitting still, so I apologize if I distract you with moving around. I'm a comedy writer. I write female-centered comedies, and I often get my humor is absurd, ridiculous, and I love it. I love being ridiculous. I've placed in a lot of competitions. I'm currently working on a rom-com with Mar Vista. And what else? I heard about Roadmap through a friend of mine named Tate Hanyek, who was one of their success stories. And I think Tate told me about you guys like 3 times. And all 3 times I was skeptical, because I'm like, well, I'm a writer. I don't have money. I don't get it. I don't understand the math of this. But she kept talking about you guys, and I needed to learn how to pitch. And I was like, people always ask me about your projects, and I felt like an idiot talking about them. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And Tate kept talking about them. I'm like, you know what? I want to learn how to pitch, so I'm going to take this program. And the pitch class was so great that I just got addicted, and I just kept taking the classes. And that's me.
I love it. And I love Tate is so Tate started with us, and she did I think pitch prep, and then she went all the way to water bottle tour, maybe manager track, and then she got signed to Lit Entertainment Group, and she's just such a ball of energy. It's great. So okay, so let's get into, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit through some of the questions, because I want to get into a little bit about what the main things you all have learned through this. So maybe from this moment on, if you could just call out, just kind of mute yourself, so we don't have to like go through the same order every time. But I'm curious, through the pitch prep program, through the water bottle tour, if you've done it, where you've done the general meeting scenarios, through to top tier, what is the main thing you learned from the execs, or through anybody? Yeah, Jessica and Shawn.
I really learned how to brand myself. I would say, like, I never really, as much as it's really obvious that I'm a grounded sci-fi writer, I never thought of myself in that way. And it's I can just in any room, somebody asks me what I write, I can tell them in a sentence and get them to lean in to want to hear more. And I think that confidence I got from going through the program and speaking about myself to execs and just workshopping what worked in lots of different meetings. Like I could say something, I would just see like eyes roll, and I'm like, okay, not using that one again, So that would be it.
Cool. Shawn?
I would say I've
was
learned
that my
always.
internet that went out?
Oh, that's Shawn's inner voice that we just heard.
I'm
Sorry,
not that
Sassi.
talented. I would say I always learned to like, I think throughout the months was like, always be writing, always have something, always have more than one project. Don't always just, we can always get in a tunnel on that one project that we think is genius, but always have something that you're thinking and writing of. Otherwise you're going to get lost in that one project and think it's the best thing in the world, but there are more great ideas to be had and everyone has them.
And Shawn, how many scripts do you have done now?
I counted the other day, I wrote 9 things this year, which is
Wow, that's so great. Wow, geez.
well, yeah, it was crazy. What's that?
Oh no, I said, wow, that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
so
it is.
cool.
It's a little nuts.
It's funny, one thing, and actually, Craig, you go first. And then I'm
Just real quick, in addition to all the technical stuff and learning how to pitch, brand yourself and stuff, once you get face to face with all these execs, you start to learn, oh, they're just people too. Like they're not like in this exalted set, even though they're often our gatekeepers, but it's all, once you break through that initial, meeting them, and then, yeah, they're just people too. So it's just like, you become more comfortable, which I think turns into confidence and turns into hopefully, opportunities and stuff. So that was kind of cool to kind of take the veil off the whole thing and get to know some of these folks and build relationships. So, yeah.
And I think that's very important because I feel like, first off, it's so funny when like somebody, I'm sure everybody here has had some nerves when they started to pitch, which is natural. But then like getting to know you all more, it's like I say this sometimes, it's like if the writers trusted like their guts more, like they would, a lot of the fears they have would just automatically go away because all of you are so great in the room. Like you light up the room, you're great with pitching, you have great energy when you pitch. So it's just about getting comfortable, like, oh wow, okay, I'm enough. Like I can do this. I don't have to think too far out there and try to be somebody I'm not. Like I'm just gonna be myself and be a human, and that's gonna take me far along. So I love that.
The repetition, like seeing the same faces and getting to know them. At first I was like, why am I like doing the same thing over and over again? And then all of a sudden, like, they would be like, oh, what are you working on now? It was really interesting. And they got to know, and then as I was writing something new, they like actually could help me shape it better.
Yeah. And then just for an example, I know with Mark Saffian, who's a manager, you were like building a relationship with him professionally. And then you met him in person at the party and you guys were talking there. So it is, I mean, it's all like Shawn was saying, it's so much about relationship building here. And for those who don't live in Los Angeles, it's even kind of more important to meet the same execs over and over again via Zoom, which is what we're on now, just so you can build a face-to-face if you don't live out here. So that's also very important. Anybody else? What you've learned?
I thought the practice was very helpful because when you're a comedy writer, your pitch has to be funny. And while writing and doing stand-up, it's, easy to do jokes. For whatever reason, explaining a synopsis, I guess you're in your right side of your brain or your left side of your brain, it's a lot harder to be funny. And the more you do it, the more you loosen up and open up to making the pitch more fun. And also because you have different personalities from different execs, you learn how to tailor it to each one just by practicing it.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, James?
Probably for me, one of the most important things I learned was how to build a rapport in 60 seconds. Because you just really have those first couple of minutes to really kind of establish and not only just tell who you are, but kind of demonstrate your own personality so that the exec that you're speaking to is like, oh, I'm suddenly very interested in you. And I always, one of the things I always mention in my opening when I'm talking about myself is my infamous love of pancakes, which seems to everybody at the table. And I even had one exec where we spent 20 minutes not even talking about my story, but talking about pancakes. And I was like, yes.
I love that when I'm hungry. Yeah, Angie?
I just wanted to say, it kind of touched on what Jessica said, but the power of repetition, and if you're not constantly working on these skills that you learn in these workshops, they're going to go dead. Because say you have a pitch and then you haven't pitched anybody in like 2 weeks and you're like, oh, I've got this. I wrote it. I know it like the back of my hand. And then you start talking about it and you're like, So that was a really important lesson. Plus, like, I just feel like there's so many opportunities to learn outside of what the class is or what the workshop is, whether it's in-person meets or just connecting with your colleagues and exchanging scripts and just staying relevant and looking up. I just learned a whole bunch of stuff that I just took notes just listening to this. And just learning too, I think, well, Craig taught me something the other day, which is like, oh, you can always just even send an email to an exec saying, hey, I saw you in Variety that you did this, good job. So just staying on top of the radar and staying relevant and practicing your skills all the time, I think is really important.
I learned a lot from bad pitches too.
Say it again, Jessica?
When I just blow it.
Yeah.
Like I just like I'd sent something that I hadn't worked on in a while, and I like thought it was right for the exec, but I didn't have time to like reread it before I sent it, like before the pitch. And they're like asking me stuff with great detail on my characters. And I'm like, what's their name again?
Yeah, a lot of times when they're asking questions, you realize what you left out or what you need to put in. So it's very helpful.
One of our writers, an exec asked her a question, and sorry, just leave that. And she didn't know the answer, so she pretended that her Zoom froze. So she's like, and I was like, that is genius. I'm like, wow, okay, so you didn't know the answer to the question.
Did the exec buy it, or did they just think it was
they bought it. Like, oh, hello, okay, well, and then she came back. They're like, okay, whatever. So I was like, that is quite genius. But yeah, everything you all said is so true, and just want to echo what Angie said about what Craig said, is that, and I say this to everybody in the Career Writer program, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. You could easily just do every program and just kind of fly by. But if you're not, because in top tier, if you get a request, you get the exec's email and you guys can converse together. But it is so much more than just being like, did you read my script? 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 It's like, did you make it about them? What have they done recently? Like James was saying, like, don't just make it about like, do you want to like sign me? Do you want to make my script? Let's talk about something we all love. Breakfast foods, pancakes. Let's talk about anything that just kind of has the exec escape from their day-to-day grind. Because execs are just kind of flooded with pitches and then people wanting things from them. So when a writer comes in and they're like, okay, let's just take a beat. Like, tell me about you. Like, let's talk about like the weather or movie I just saw. They're like, oh, wow, this is somebody that's not going to be hounding me every 5 seconds, which is very, very important. And I'm just curious, with Jessica saying with like a bad pitch, has anybody had a bad pitch experience and what have you learned from it?
Well, I obviously have. I mean, I've had them like through Roadmap, and I've had them in rooms too. And I'm always surprised. Like sometimes I think I blew it. Like I thought for sure, the guy from Arts Entertainment, Daniel, I think his name is.
Arts Entertainment?
Yeah, Arts Entertainment. I thought for Artwork.
Oh, David Chen?
Yeah, I thought for sure, like I just blew it. Like there was no way in hell he would ever want to work with me or read my script or anything. It just there was no chemistry. And I got requested and I was like shocked. I was like, and I think at that time you're like, you're the only one who got requested. And I was like, really? Because he was just telling me all the ways I should do it differently the whole entire time.
Yeah.
I was going to say it works in the reverse too though, because you're like, nailed it. And you're like, nope, sure did.
Yeah, it's totally true.
I once had 3 back-to-back, and they literally had complete opposite opinions.
Wow.
But it was good because you get to hear their take on how they would have done it, and that helps you get to know them, and you kind of see yourself, and you kind of see, is it a match? Is it not a match? I hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true, like you will get conflicting advice. You will get somebody's going to say you should do it as a TV show, and somebody says a TV show, you should never do it as a TV show, you should do it as a feature. So it's taking the feedback and not automatically being like, well, this exec was so stupid. It's like digesting it and being like, okay, why did they want to see it that way? And also just it's a great way at the very least to show the exec how you take notes, how you are to work with. It doesn't mean like, yes, it's brilliant. Yes, it's brilliant. Yes, it's brilliant. It's just how you creatively can talk about it, which is important. James, were you going to say something too? And then Craig?
I just had the mistake of not shutting up. And I was because I could tell that the exec was engaged, and I was so caught up in the moment of like, wow, this exec is really engaged. It's like I should have like shut up like 2 minutes into what I was saying and just like kind of let it all happen organically, but I just kept running off at the mouth like I had a faucet loose or something. The exec even told me at the end, he was like, dude, you had me way back over here. You didn't have to say all that other stuff. So yeah, that was one time I blew it.
I love that. Okay. Less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
Craig?
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, Joey, like early on, one of the first pitches, I just stopped. And I'm like, this is going awful, da-da-da. And you're like, you just got to keep going. So that was a lesson learned, of course. But also, it's just, I think what's cool about Roadmap is yes, you are pitching and you're hopefully going to get requests and go on from there. But it's also part educational. So, you know, you're learning, and I think the execs know that too. So it's like a good buffer to where it's like a little safe zone of like, you don't have to be perfect. Like you just be yourself and do the best you can. And then if you feel like you blow it, you can just morph it into more of a lesson and learning opportunity to where instead of like a real life situation where the exec might be like, okay, thanks, see you later. Then you can just talk to the exec and figure out where it went wrong and all that stuff. So it really helps workshop, you know,
Yeah,
your pitches. So it's not just like do or die. So you become more comfortable with it.
I mean, that is, yeah, sorry, Susan, go.
Oh, I just wanted to answer the question correctly now. I had a pitch where I was sick and I was just such in a fog and I just did it anyway. And like, I didn't make any sense. Like I just done the pitch yesterday and it was like great. And then today, like I was tripping over my words. I was leaving out whole sections. And by the end, the person I was pitching to was just so confused. Like that was my worst pitch experience. I really messed up.
And what do you think you learned from it?
Make sure to get lots of sleep before you pitch. Take your vitamins. If you're not feeling well, do a little extra prep.
Yeah, totally. Take echinacea. What? And also too, what Craig was saying before is about like, it is true. Like the execs that are coming in, like they want to help the writers grow. A lot of them that you guys work with are managers, which their job is to develop writers. So it's okay if like a pitch doesn't go perfectly. That's their job more or less, is to help kind of strengthen the pitch. And what your guys' job is to connect with the exec on a human level, be able to show that you could showcase your story concisely and obviously do the work, but just connecting with the exec on a human level is so crucial. And some of the biggest kind of mistakes I see writers making is trying to make it so perfect and so robotic. Every word is right, it's formatted correctly, but there's no passion, there's no energy behind it. So I think that's super important. Anybody else?
When I watch other people pitch, like when I like hear them and they're like so into every plot detail, I glaze over. Like I just can't. And so I'm just like, please just stop talking about plot. Like, please stop talking about plot. And I'm like wishing for them. But I also like, to kind of bring it back to the career writer program and like seeing Susan on the video conference, was when we first started pitching, we all had our cameras on. Like in the top tier, we turned them off to respect like the conversation. But I was so nervous, and I was like even more nervous pitching in front of my peers, but then they were all had such sweet, supportive faces. I was like, oh my God, thank God they're there.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in the same kind of bucket, so that's important. Anybody else want to add to that? Angie?
I was going to say exactly what she said, and then like you have that little chat box open afterwards and you're like, oh my God, I destroyed it, it's so terrible. And then your friends are like, no, it was great, I like this, I totally love you, or whatever. You have your little support system on the side, which is a really, really awesome tool as well.
You know, one thing in respect to that I think is so important, Alex just came on, or she's on for a little bit, so I'll have her take over in a bit. But when I talk to execs and I tell execs about Roadmap, sometimes like there's some concern and like some nerves because they're like, okay, who are these writers? Like, am I going to be hounded? Am I like whatever? But one thing I tell them that really puts them at ease is that these are normal people. Like one thing that I feel really makes this different is that a lot of the programs are so vetted that you're going to be in a group with normal writers. And it always kind of solicits a laugh from the executive because they're so, if they've ever been to like any kind of writer group session or whatever, sometimes like, okay, wow, I feel like I'm a little nervous or whatever for a variety of different reasons. But when they come in here, it's like, and that's why we do see a lot of execs coming back over and over again, because they feel so at ease and comfortable and meeting writers that they could potentially, do stuff with, and not kind of be fearful of like anybody crossing the line, which I think is very important.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
Really, really quick. So I think you'll like this story. When early in my career, I worked in development at Sony, and we had what we called a crazy person hotline. And so if somebody called trying to pitch us, because we couldn't take unsolicited writing for anyone,
Yeah.
we were like, oh, there's a special like voicemail like inbox I can transfer you to, and I would just transfer them to what we called like the crazy person hotline, and it just said we don't accept unsolicited material.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. That's so crazy. Oh my God. I love that. But it's true. It's like, and then Alex, I'm sorry, I'll let you take over. And by the way, I think I've asked 2 questions so far, but we just went off on a tangent, but mostly because of me. But I was going to say something that's really important. Okay. So yeah, so this is also, I feel like, and I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this, is that this industry is kind of programmed to separate writers from execs. It's like, it's very odd. Like, it's like writer, it's so many different fields. Like, you'll go to school, you'll do an internship, and then you'll get to where you want to be. Here's like, you do the training and you're not allowed to meet any execs. It's like, it's very odd. Like, and I could understand, like, you know, Jessica, you working at Sony, they can't just accept everything that comes their way because it'll open up a floodgate of legal issues. And then you'll have to hire Craig to kind of sort things out. But it's kind of like, because there's so many different ideas floating around, so I get it. So there has to be some kind of paper trail. There has to be some kind of vetting process, which I totally get. It's just like, that's why it's so much more important that when you do get the opportunity to meet an executive, you're really, everything is ready. Your pitch is ready. Your script is ready. And your presentation is ready. So I think that's also very important. And then last question for me that Alex, I swear I'll let you take over. I'm just getting really excited. What is one of the best pitches you had, and what did you learn from it?
Mhm.
The best pitch I had was when the exec got every single one of my jokes, and sometimes things that I didn't even know were jokes. And it was like, I felt like the funniest person on earth.
And what did you learn from it?
I guess like when the person gets your taste, and just like, everybody has different tastes and they see different things, but then when you get in front of the person that gets you, it's like, oh, it's just, everything goes great.
Yeah, and it's really about finding the right home. It's like, sometimes you won't. And Susan, let me ask you, so like when you're doing a pitch and you're getting the opposite and the person is not connecting with you, as a comedy pitcher and writer, how do you keep going?
I try to imagine the laughs in my head. So like, whenever you do stand up, if you're not getting the laughs, you kind of imagine them in your head because it keeps you going. It's like, and sometimes I'll laugh at my own jokes, like whatever keeps it fun and keeps me from clamming up. Sometimes if I read from them that it looks like they're annoyed by how much energy I have, I might scale it back. I'll still keep it fun, but I'll scale back the energy a little bit to match their own.
I love that.
When they're like really loving it, I'll like more energy, and when they're feeding off of it.
You read the room very well, it seems.
Oh, thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah. What other great pitches have you guys had?
I guess like a good pitch for me has been when somebody because in top tier you have them read the first 15 pages, and it's like when they just want to get to know you, you know, they already know they want to read the rest of the script, so it's not about like having to get them to read it or understand it, or it's just a connecting on like why you wrote it, like what you have in common, like what they saw they liked about it, like trying to understand where you're going with it. And it's not like them quiet and you like just talking yourself out of a corner, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And actually, Jess, and then Angie, I'll get to you, is the same question for Susan. When you do find yourself in a situation where the exec isn't saying anything, because you guys will get in situations where the exec is literally just like, it's like that Frozen thing before, with the writer Frozen. But in real life, how do you get out of it? Or how do you mentally?
There was an exec once where I swear to God, I was starting off with questions and trying to engage him, and I felt like he wouldn't answer, and he was kind of looking at me like crazy, like, why are you talking to me? And I think eventually I just asked the right question, and he kind of loosened up, and then was like, oh wait, we got to get to your pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was if I'd not asked that question and I still got that awkwardness, I probably would have just transitioned into my pitch on my own. But it was definitely awkward at first. And you just kind of have to like in your brain be like, it's okay. Just, it's going to be cool. It's all going to be okay. And just in your head, kind of let out that energy and hope they absorb it.
I love it.
I try to imagine the phone call they had before I got into the room. Like if it's in person or on Zoom, like, you know, or like, especially if I'm the first person to pitch, but like if I'm the last person to pitch and I'm like up 12 people and I could just tell that they're dead. There's like no more room for plot in their head at all. That it's just kind of like, you know, I take the pressure off by just being like, so what do you have going on later tonight? It just like kind of chit chat them until like they can get out of their own exhaustion sort of thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like just reading the room, which is so important.
And remembering that they're not a machine.
Yeah.
And honestly, like any good interview, like not every exec is the right person for you to work with.
Yeah.
So it's just as important to know who they are and how to connect with them. And if you want to work with them, or you could be friends with them and not work with them, or you may never want to see them again in your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find this is my problem is sometimes you read things that aren't true and you have to just remind yourself in your head, like not to believe those bad thoughts, it's going to be okay. And, and sometimes you'll be amazed at how different the exec will be by the end of the pitch than how they started.
Yeah. And defining what you want to get out of it. Like sometimes it's not, I know their company isn't right for me, but they might give me the best note I've gotten in a long time that like gets me excited about that story in a new way. So like redefining the win from a pitch, basically.
Yeah.
And then Angie, then Craig, and then James, and then Alex.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that like during a pitch, I think we're all constantly judging ourselves and looking at them and be like, oh God, they're not interested. They're not interested. They're not interested. And then when they ask a question, I think the first thing I think is oh my gosh, I'm not clear. Instead of this person's interested and they're asking clarifying questions. So I feel like my best pitches where I've gotten requested and then it starts that email dialogue later is when they're like really invested when I have to say, and they're asking questions because they're interested and they want to see where it goes. And then those turn into the like, it's not right for me, but I'll read anything that you fire at me. So going back to like the big thing, which was what Shawn said, was like, you have to have so much stuff like percolating. You have to constantly be creative, new things so that you can shoot it out to them later, stuff like that. And I think that was a really interesting thing. I forget that like, just because they're not looking for what you have doesn't mean that they don't have a friend who is, or they heard about something. And I remember pitching someone and they're like, well, what else do you have? And I had something in there, but it didn't really match what that person was facilitating. But they go, oh, I know DreamWorks is really looking for that. So let me, blah, blah, blah. So just being open to the world of networking and connections and where, someone can shoot your script, even if it's not right for their particular company.
Yeah. And we've had writers sign from an exec reading their script and be like, okay, this isn't right for us, but let me just shoot it over to a manager and see what happens. And, so it's so much about building the relationship. And it's interesting. Sometimes you'll see her talking about being in your head is you'll see a writer pitching and you'll see the moment when they just, you see it in their eye when they get in their head. And then every beat after that, you can see it's like, okay, they're still in their head. They're still in the head. And sometimes they'll just stop and like, oh wait, sorry, I'm in my head about it. But it's interesting just to kind of take the pressure off, which is easier said than done. Craig?
Yeah, and so kind of piggyback on what everyone else saying, you start to learn it's so subjective, and you realize like your best pitches are because not so much what you're doing, it's because of the person on the other side of the screen or the other side of the table, that they're super receptive to you. And so you start to understand when you have a great pitch like that, that's awesome. But you also understand the flip of that is not everyone's going to connect with you, or they're having a bad day and you can't like take it personal, and you can just do your best. And I'm classically in my head, Joey, as you know, and that's my favorite part of the pitch when I tell them I'm in my head, but you just, and you just, yeah. And so you start to learn like, it's not so much you most of the time, as long as once you get to a certain level, like it's not so much you, it's the other person in their life. If you're gonna have that connection, and you can almost tell right off the bat, like if they're engaged and stuff, and if your subject matter reaches them, and then they're excited about it, and like it doesn't even become plot. You just talk about all these cool things that aren't even quite your script. Sometimes it's just about the person, and it's just whoever's on. Yeah.
It's in terms about being subjective, it is like you'll meet somebody who's just like, it's just not a fit, and you're not going to connect with everybody. Like in life, you're not going to connect with everybody. So it is being, okay, this person's not going to be a fit for my script, but how could I just at least make them smile? so they could remember me as a human. James?
So for me, and it was clearly a defining moment for one of my best pitches is that, and it kind of goes back to something that Jessica was saying about plot. There's a point where you have to realize is like, are you giving them information or are you telling a story? And if you're truly telling a story, you can kind of see it in their eyes that they're engaged and whatnot. And for me, one of my best pitches was when I got to the end of it, wasn't so much them asking, the first question that I was asked was, holy blank, how did you even come up with that? I know that, that person really was engaged into what I was saying, and I wasn't relying on plot points or making sure I got this piece of information in. I was just merely confident, and it goes back again to what both Susan and Jessica were saying about repetition and knowing your story and really being confident, from go, that you're really there and strong and knowing exactly the kind of story that you want to tell and being able to translate that well.
I love that, telling a story versus just giving facts.
Yeah. And getting caught up in your own story, like getting excited with the highs and getting low with the lows. Yeah, that's fun.
I love that. So Alex is our director of education, so she's going to take over. Alex, I asked questions 1, 2, and 7. So I did a little bit of a joke. I don't know why. I was just like, 7 looks like a cute question. So feel free to, go back, or if you want to just kind of go from there, and then jump into some Q&A with everybody. But cool. Do you need, and just quickly, quick business talk, Alex, do I need to start Kevin's at 10? Kevin and
No.
Okay, cool.
Our Kevin's got it.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I'll have Alex take over. You guys just keep talking, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye, Joey.
Bye, Joey.
Bye. See you.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, guys. I sure hope I don't let you down after Joey because he's so energetic and I'm still kind of sick. So, but you know what? We're going to forge ahead. Awesome. So y'all have been talking about pitching mostly.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I suppose, where do I want to go? Okay, here's a fun one, kind of related to pitching, but it could also be like script notes. What is one valuable piece of advice that you've gotten from an exec, either related to your pitch, your script, career, anything like that you would like to share?
I would say less is more. Like, for me personally, because I write pretty big epic worlds that I have to describe, and I find that when I'm workshopping, especially I've done Matchmaker and I've done like some hour-long scripts, and a lot of the times it's like you have the whole season in a draft, and so like I just have to pare down and to like be okay with like honoring that I don't need everything to happen at once in my story, that sometimes just a singular emotional thread is enough. So, and I started to see that in movies when I see that they're like, don't have confidence in the story. And then there's all this other crap in there and you're just confused. And so I think it's really helped my writing become more clear and emotionally connected.
Nice. I love that. I've always thought of scripts, like to me, a script is more similar to poetry than it is to a novel. And so it's like you really want to kind of condense a lot into a very small space. And that's a real skill but that you can develop, and you have developed.
Well, developing in process.
We're all developing that skill. I think even the greats are still developing that skill.
Yeah.
Cool. Craig.
Yeah, I think, and people have said this already, but again, I think it was Andrew Kersey who's really hard, or like hits you hard about having, what's your next thing? What's your next thing? What's your next thing? So you learning from him, like yes, you're going to go pitch on your main piece that you want to pitch, but they're also like, you need to like have your sub pitches ready, or at least log lines and stuff. So like, because inevitably, what's next? What's coming down the pipeline? Like people want to see that you have more of a body of work instead of just this one thing, that you can be conversant about them. So I just remember he was really big on that. I mean, a lot of the execs are, but for sure Andrew was.
Yeah, that's Andrew's big thing. And especially reps. They really like to see that you've got a portfolio and then more things in the pipe, because if they're looking to rep you, they want to know that that we can sustain a career with you. Because otherwise, yeah. well, there's that too. Career equals money. Oh, all right.
This isn't necessarily feedback that stuck with me, but it was more of a lesson that stuck with me. And Chris Eckert, he kind of had this class where we read a script and we all did coverage on it. And then basically you come back and you see how every single person had a different opinion on the script. And it was a very emotionally charged, like the script emotionally charged a lot of people. We all got very like crazy, but the lesson was really, it really sticks with you how much everyone sees everything differently and how it makes writing hard. Because I don't know about other people, but I'm constantly with my rewrites beating myself over my head to try to take every single note and try to please everyone. But that's the death of creativity, to please everyone. Like you have to, having your own voice and even having a little confusion can sometimes help a script. And emotion, also like a script that makes people emotional in whatever way. So angry because it doesn't make sense, angry because they don't think that the justification, how powerful that can be. So that really stuck with me.
Yeah. Was that water bottle tour, the coverage session?
I think so. The coverage session, yeah.
I remember that one. I think I was in that with you.
I think I remember that.
We were all very like, oh, I hate that.
I remember like Chris came over to Joey's house to do it. And I remember like he was in the office doing a session. Then afterwards he walks out and went, wow, they all had a really strong reaction to that script.
We did. It was a very touchy subject too. So yeah.
Well, that happens sometimes. Cool. All right. Anyone else want to weigh in? A valuable piece of advice or lesson learned from an exec. It could be intentional or otherwise. Angie.
I will be. This is kind of repeating what other people said as well too, but you always get conflicting notes, conflicting advice. Stay in your lane, don't stay in your lane. What's your through line, what's not your through line? Write for the marketplace, don't write for the marketplace. But at the end of the day, you just need to tell a good, strong, engaging story and whatever tools in your toolbox in the best possible way. And I think it's so important to make sure you're an interesting person who finds yourself interesting. Otherwise, other people won't. And sometimes we forget that. That's
true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, these careers are long and these processes are long. And if you're not an interesting, engaging person that someone likes to be around who can tell stories, then, I mean, it's going to be hard to be in pre-production for 10 years with you. That'd be a rough gig. Oh, all right. Anyone else want in? I think James has sort of raised his hand. Okay, James.
Yeah. I kind of to piggyback off of what Angie was saying. It's one of those things where it's not just so much selling or promoting your material, but promoting yourself. I think more so than anything else. And a lot of execs want to know that more so than just you're a likable person, but that you're a capable person, capable of taking notes, capable in adjustments, you know, capable of being able to face the challenges that come with, you know, your story might resonate with an exec who's got a producer that they can move it up to, but the producer doesn't feel it at all. Got to be able to kind of bounce off of all of that and still be able to keep going, keep creating, and having a body of work is so important, especially when you're at this level in top tier, that it kind of sets you apart from a lot of people who are out there taking other classes, doing other things, who might just have that one script that literally they're betting their entire life on that one property that will 9 times out of 10 won't get them where it needs them, you know, where they want to go. So you got to be aware of that.
So true. Angie's back. Angie has a follow-up. Unmute.
Yeah, I just think there's one thing that I wanted to say is, like, I'm sure we all like take our classes and study and work on our craft, but I feel like this is the only place where I get to work on my craft and work on presenting my craft, but still getting notes on my craft. And I think that's super cool. It's like a dual opportunity.
I love it. Dual opportunity. We're going to rename ourselves. Jessica.
To jump on that a little bit, I think a lot of the times I find that I take notes as whether I got what was in my head onto the page, and not whether what's on the page is good or not. Like, I know what I want to say, and if I'm not saying it clear enough for them to get it, then that's where I have to fix. And so sometimes when I'm on early drafts, I have the best conversation with roadmap executives, because if I tell them what I'm trying to say and say, this is where I'm getting caught up, then we have these really interesting, elaborate conversations about plot, story, theme, and character. And then I come away with like a tighter draft after that. And so I never look at it as like good or bad. It's just like, am I achieving what I want to achieve? And then I just have faith that somebody will hopefully want to read it. I learned this one thing at a South by Southwest conference that I love, and I always repeat to myself that like, if I'm 1 in a million, there's like 100,000 of me in the world, or more now based on the population. So there's an audience for everybody, basically.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Anyone else want to jump in on this before we move on? I think we'll have like one more formal question, then we'll probably have to open it up to writer Q&A, because Joey commandeered the session a little bit. Not that I'm complaining. Joey is wonderful and his instincts are always right. But I'm like, dang, I had all these questions prepared. All right, cool. So let's finish this off with, now that you guys are all in top tier, do you feel that the Career Writer program prepared you for all of the pitching and marketing and networking that you've been doing? And if so, was there any like particular skill that you've felt that you didn't have beforehand that you learned through the process? Shawn wants in.
Yeah,
Shawn's like,
I would
please.
say that first month with Dorian doing the 2-page pitch is just amazing, and she just knows it. She knows it like the back of her hand. She knows it like whatever, like just to like hone your entire script into 2 pages, make it interesting, make it fun, make it your script still, put it into your voice. It's the perfect way to actually learn how to pitch your script. And I think that was, I mean, ever since that, I've been able to get more confident and put it down into that format and be confident on pitching when I do pitch to execs, just to like have that exact format. And with that, like I could email other people that, and it helps to make a pitch deck. It helps just the entire process that first month, I would say. That was eye-opening. That's it.
Yeah, 100%, because one of the big reasons I got into Roadmap was I had a script that got really good reviews on the Blacklist, and it got me a general meeting. They did like a poster for it, and they asked for like a 2-pager on a project, and I sent them this 2-pager, and I just did it, and I didn't have all the format down and stuff, and I just remember like, and then I didn't get the project, and I was like, oh, I totally bombed that. And then yeah, it's like super technical, but those 2-pagers are like so important to get your story down, and that was a huge eye opener just to put the comp movies on there and how to find them, like these really super technical specific like techniques we can do to like present ourselves better and stuff. And then you start to even see, when you start to do a 2-pager, then you start to see what's wrong with your script a little bit, because you hit a stopping point on the 2-page, you're like, oh fuck, or sorry, but you know what I mean, you're just like, and so those early things, and then it builds in layers. So now you have your 2-pager, then you can do your pitch from that, and you keep bouncing back and forth, and then you start to realize like, oh, every script I write, I should probably write the 2-pager for. So I always have these like you know, like your own like public relations department on your computer, and if people ask for stuff, you can like shoot them out, you know, and like, so you just have all this stuff at your fingertips for when people ask for them, versus like scrambling around and doing it wrong, or just doing it too fast and stuff. So yeah, that 2-pager, good stuff.
I just want to piggyback off of that and say 100% everything he just said. Like more and more competitions now, you have to submit a pitch doc or a 2-pager. They don't even want your script. They just want that. And I was like, I don't know how to write this. And Dorian's class like taught you everything you need to know. And after that, it was just practice. I also found that once you get your 1-pager, 2-pager down, if you write that before you write your script, or before you write your outline, it makes everything so much easier, because you discover how like me, I always make things too complicated. So being able to pare it down to like 2 pages before I even start writing my outline or my script, it's like I could see everywhere I was overcomplicating things, what I needed to get to fastest, and it was just mind-blowing.
James, sorry, I unmuted myself. Go.
So So jumping on the bandwagon and probably the best 2-page story ever. Dorian helped me knock it out of the park in learning this because I had no concept whatsoever of how to do this. And once I actually learned it, it literally, kind of like Craig was saying, I started doing every single script now that I come up with, every idea. I've got to absolutely, it's got to fit there. So if I don't have it on the 2-pager, there's no story, and there's no sense in me trying to continue to pursue it, because if I can't fit it in there, I can't tell this story, which means I can't write this story. But the best thing that ever came out of me learning how to do this didn't actually came from Dorian, it came from Alex herself.
I was just gonna say that. Shout out to Alex who corrects our cheat sheets, you know? And I always have it like right there when I'm pitching it exactly. I'm like this.
Right?
And I was like, oh yeah, helps me.
So Alex helped me not only nail this pitch, but I was actually able to get this pitch. I haven't even written the script yet, and the pitch was optioned. So I was just like mind blown. This is the new way to go. And I'm so grateful, so thankful for having learned this skill, because it is now the litmus test for any idea, any project that I come up with.
Plus, like, sometimes you have an idea and you're not ready to write the script, but you don't want to like lose the idea. So writing the 2-pager, so you have it to file away for later. I think that's really helpful. Like, I actually did the career writer program with a script I hadn't written.
Oh, really?
And now it was, so the one that I was workshopping, like I had, 3 scripts that I had written, and I had a new idea and I was outlining the idea. And so I decided, like, F it, like, I have something else I can pitch if I need to, but this will help me kind of write it. And in doing that, I knew I was started in the wrong place of my story, of my world.
Yep.
Which I think you were in there for that. And everyone's like, how did you change it so drastically? Did you rewrite your script? I was like, oh, no, there's no script yet, so I can do whatever I want with this 2-pager.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I started with a script I hadn't written yet. And on the one hand, it was easier because as you get feedback, it's easy to do whatever you want because you're not worried about reworking a whole script in your head.
Right.
But then the downside was I was getting all these requests for that script and I didn't even have it yet.
Oh, I wrote it before I started pitching it. I was like, once I outline, I write really fast. So but I worked, like, I think the draft that I started pitching and the draft I'm pitching now are like 3 like full like page 1 rewrites. So, it's a new, it's same concept, new script, but
it's been a whole journey.
Yeah. But to bring it back to the original question of like what changed, like what we learned from the program, or like what changed us, I think was the question, right?
Yeah. Or like what's, do you feel that the whole career writer program prepped you to be in top tier?
Yeah.
And if so, was there anything in particular that you thought was beneficial? Like maybe you didn't have that skill beforehand.
I think what was really interesting for me, and I don't know if it might be unique to where I kind of grew up, like my whole career has been in the industry, but in a different facets of the industry and never as a creative. And so I have this like huge database of people who know me in different parts of my career, but going back to them and saying, oh, I'm a writer now, like gets an eye roll. So like getting the confidence to say like, no, I'm creating stuff. It's getting traction. I'm talking to certain executives. Do you want to like get in there and like get my stuff while it's hot, And I think going through the career writer program and having all this time with executives really gave me the confidence to rework my own network. And it's still like a slow cull of like the closest people to me and like slowly kind of doing those big reaches. But I don't think I would have ever known how to pitch myself with the confidence to do that. I would have kind of shied away from the people I knew and reinvented myself in a new group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And that's awesome that, the career writer program and all of the practice and whatnot gave you that confidence. And that's part of what we're striving to do. We want to give you skills, but we also want to give you the confidence to use the skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you just have the skills but no confidence and you never use them, you're effectively the same as a person who does not have the skills.
Yeah.
And I think that's very self-evident if you've like been in top tier, either a couple of months back to back, where you're not only revisiting your own pitches, but you're seeing some of the pitches that some of your other colleagues are doing, and seeing just people getting better and better and getting stronger and more confident. And you're like, wow, if they can do it, I should be able to do this. And it's just like such a boost. Because I don't even like going first when I'm doing the roundtable sessions. You know, I like to be like kind of in the middle or toward the end, so I really get a good sense of you know how everyone else is doing, how the exec is kind of like their temperature in the room, and really, you know, and I'll do the little things where I'll send out the little posts to the side and like, no, that was a really great pitch, you were awesome, you were great. You know, so I'm also, you know, trying to motivate and encourage and support, you know, the other writers there as well. But so many skills that, like, I mean, seriously, and I've taken a number of the screenwriting courses and seminars that are around. Nobody is doing, like, even, I would say even more than 50% of the stuff that Roadmap is teaching, you know, all of their writers to be relevant and strong in the business and have the exact skills that will get execs tuned into you, get you on their radar.
Exactly. I love it. All right, cool. Well, guys, let's see if we have questions from people attending. So people attending, please type your questions into the Q&A box so I can find them. Because I'm not quite operating on all cylinders today, so please don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a couple people saying, oh, this is so helpful. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. So thank you, guys. Cool. All right, so we've got Erica. Oh, okay. I think I can probably answer this question, but I'd love to get some of your feedback as well. Erica says, I was curious about the top tier competition. Do you have to complete the career writer track programs before you can submit into the contest? The answer to that is no, you don't have to complete any of the career writer track programs before you can submit to the contest, because the contest will effectively just give you a year of top tier for free, and top tier writers can also enter as well to get that year for free. However, I would definitely advise you at least do pitch prep, which is Dorian's month-long intensive that everybody was raving about. And then I'd probably advise you guys do intensive as well. What do you guys think? Because you're in top tier, so you have a different perspective on top tier than I do.
I think like all of it is helpful because, like, you know, I had years of experience as a marketing executive, but I had no idea how to market myself. So that was really helpful to be able to translate those skills in a new way. But then also like that repetition we were talking about, I think in each one of them, you're meeting some execs and then you meet them again. And then as you get into the higher tiers, like you start branching out that network. But you start seeing some familiar names and you get a sense of like what you want to work with them on because you know what they're really good at.
All right, cool. Let's see. So Jonathan Westbrook asks, what's the difference between a 2-pager and a written pitch? You guys want to answer this or do you want me to?
I want to answer, but then I'm afraid it's the wrong answer.
Yeah, me too.
No, it's not the wrong.
It's all like, well, I know like probably a lot of us have done heavy competitions where someone asks for more. So there's always like, I feel like different terms for the same things. Like somebody wants a pitch deck, someone wants a lookbook, someone wants a synopsis, someone wants a log line, somebody wants a proof of concept. It's like all those things. So I think more than anything, looking at what that specific, I'm sorry, let me rewind. What that specific person wants. So the 2-pagers, I feel like the roadmap planning template, and it's so beneficial because I've seen other people try to come up with directions for a 2-pager, and then I look at that one and it's so specific and wonderful, it's terrific, and I've used it a couple times. And then I feel like the next step of that, a written pitch, is a longer version of that, which is basically a plot synopsis, but what is the story really about? What are you trying to achieve? What are the themes? What are the comps? And then also next season. Like you're projecting what this looks like. Because I've been told time and time again, especially this is probably the best piece of advice, is like writing TV is so hard because you have to look at something that can sustain 6 seasons and then backtrack it to your pilot episode. So if you don't necessarily have to have that written, but you need to know where's the show going to go, does it have legs? And I feel like that's a big part of the written pitch as well. And it depends. I think sometimes it can be 2 to 4 pages, sometimes 3 to 5. If you're doing like a contest, if you're doing like Sundance Lab, for instance, the written pitch is about 1,000 words. So I think you just have to hone in on what the specific directions are. And then Alex is gonna be like, that's wrong. She's completely wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, anytime you're submitting for anything ever, please read the instructions in their entirety and follow them. Especially if people are getting like a lot of submissions, it's an easy way to say nope. If they ask for 2 to 4 pages and you give them 5, they're like, bye. So just, you know, read the instructions. For like roadmap pitch sessions, the 2-pager is the written pitch. They sort of are synonymous, because, you know, our execs are, they're reading a handful of those, and I don't want their brains to, you know, get crossfaded, because I want them to give you guys good notes. Cool beans. Okay, so Jane asks, you all seem very extroverted. Did any of you start as an introvert? If so, how did you learn to be more comfortable with the live pitching process? Oh, that's a great question. Thank you, Jane. That's awesome.
I was not ever an introvert when I'm talking to people, but because this process was new to me and scary, I felt like when I started, I was very quiet and very uncomfortable. And it's practice. It's just, you just got to force yourself to do it, and you just keep practicing and practicing. And what's great about roadmap is the first 2 levels, it's just practice. Like you don't even get to an executive until after you've done a lot of practice. So that's my answer.
I'm an introvert. I don't know if you are as well, but I don't love speaking in front of people. I'm not an actor. I like, you know, but the more I know about what I'm talking about, the more comfortable I am doing it. So like, to echo it, it's practice. And then also like, I'm actually just talking to a television screen. So like, or a computer screen. So it's like, I am in my house, in my cozy place with my coffee, so I can make it as comfortable as I want to.
Yeah, you could totally look at the wall and just talk to the wall in your apartment right above your computer.
But I think, you know, to pick up on what these guys are saying, when you're pitching your own stuff, like, so I was an attorney, I've done trials, I've done depositions. It's not easy, but like you're talking about something else that's not yours. So then when you have to go pitch, it's just a different ballgame. And Angie and Shawn can, you know, attest that I'm constantly in my head, you know, and just like, yeah, see, and these guys are like super polished and like super charismatic. And I felt like I was the quiet one, or like the in your head one, and just like, I'm nervous and I'm looking at a screen and these aren't real people. And yeah, you just keep practicing, and you fall down a few times, you get back up, you fall down a few times, you get back up. And again, to reiterate what I said earlier, and what I think a lot of people said, is it's so subjective. So you just kind of get over the fact that you had a bad day, or the exec, you know, didn't connect with you. And as roadmap says, and you know, it only takes one yes type of thing. And so it kind of becomes a numbers game. And by, you know, when you're at the peak of this and you're doing tons of pitching, it just becomes so much more natural. And so, yeah, just practice.
One of the things that I kept telling myself early on, even as an extrovert, is that it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. And if you go into that with that kind of mindset, don't put any pressure on yourself. You know, again, it's just another person on the other side of that screen. You know, they get up and put their pants on the same way that you do and whatnot. So it's just another conversation. It's just a conversation about you.
Yeah, and sometimes I do jumping jacks before, like while my camera's off, just to get my energy up, and so I look alive.
Eating pancakes.
Yeah.
Yes, I eat pancakes. A lot of coffee and pancakes. Sometimes a little disco, but that's a whole different thing.
Oh, man. Whatever it takes to psych yourself up. Well, here's, you know, sort of a segue question that just popped into my head. Maybe Joey's asked this, and if he has, just let me know, and we'll, you know, kill this line of thought. What do you all do to prep for your pitches? Like, do you practice with friends? Some of you have definitely practiced with me. Do you email Brandon and go, hey, Brandon, let's rehearse this thing? What's your process?
I practice to my cat because he always gives me this curious look when I'm talking to him. And it's just, I don't know, like I just do. I do. And then like Jessica said, jumping jacks. That's great.
I prep on dates. Like the poor dudes, you know. Every once in a while I know if I'm gonna date them again because they like my stories.
I'll record them and I'll watch them, or I'll have, you know, significant others or friends, I'll have them interrupt me. So it's kind of the opposite. Like I'm super obviously extroverted, so I'll just talk and I'll get really, really intense and like scare people with energy. So it's just as important to like calm down and take it in and stuff like that. And I think it's really, really important too to practice when you're practicing, because you're doing it over and over again. Like your friends who are in these groups with you will message you and let you know like, oh, this is really cool. They zoned in on this part. So it's like you want to lead into that kind of thing. And that's like a cool practice tool as well.
To piggyback off of that, because that's great to record yourself. When you're going through the program and the first part's just practicing, they record your webinars so you can watch them back and see yourself, which is very helpful. So watch this.
Cool.
I would say I definitely practice. I definitely emailed, I think when I'm nervous about it, I do email Alex or Brianna or Justin, someone who's going to actually like listen, and it's nice to just have that. And I would say for me, I don't like to be too polished because you don't know what's going to happen during the session. So I always leave room for mistake. I try not to have, like I'm talking right now, I try not to have everything really marked down, just because, except for like the main points, like the story, the log line, some plot points, but I don't want to be too polished because it is a conversation. I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Oh, and that's to piggyback off of him. You can put Post-its on your computer with reminders of things you don't want to forget, and no one will see it.
Yeah. I do whatever I can to get out of my own head first thing in the morning. Like I'll go out for a quick drive, put on something, go grab a cup of coffee. Usually, if I'm practicing the pitch, I'll call Nicola because she'll beat the hell out of me. She'll interrupt me. She'll say all kind of just mean and nasty things in between the pitch just to kind of throw me off. And if I keep going, she'll say, yeah, you might be all right. I don't know. But it gets me ready. It sets me up. And I always try to come into the session like really, really positive, like check in on everybody else and, you know, see who's had pancakes that morning, because that's important. And you know, just really kind of lighten the energy.
Yeah. I also like to remind myself what I loved about what I wrote, like why I wrote it and like why it's important for me and why I want to tell the story. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And what Shawn and James were saying, it's almost, for better or for worse, sometimes like my prep is actually just kind of forgetting the pitch and just like, you know, getting myself calm. And it's more about the visceral type of stuff than just like as Jessica said, you know, you just can't go in there and recite the facts, but it's like, you wrote the script, you know the story, but it's like at some point you just kind of have to forget that. And really what I hope to do is just bring like the emotion and the sentiment of the story up. And what's cool is like almost every pitch starts the same, and which I didn't know until I took the program, but it's like, you know, what's your title? What's your genre? Is this a feature film? You know, once you go through kind of the technical aspects, what are your comp films? You're like, you kind of get into it and you're like, you start off on a strong foot. And so this whole program like gives you a lot of confidence, because just going through those like technical aspects in your log line, like then you're like off and running on the pitch. So yeah, I would say just know your pitch, and then to me, like forgetting it and just kind of going in as a person, like James was saying.
I love that. As Joey says, be a human first, a writer second. Cool. Well, guys, we don't have any more questions from the audience. And I imagine some of you all have up your session starting in a couple minutes. So I am going to go ahead and set you all free here. But thank you so much for doing this. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. And some of you know we've been trying to do this since like June. It's been a process, but we did it. We're here.
It's great for me to get to top tier.
Yes.
It was cool talking and hearing about the 3 people I haven't had a session with yet. So hey.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so it's strange to me that some of you guys may not have known each other, because I know all of you. Yeah. So I just assume that you all know each other.
Right.
Cool. All right, guys, you are all absolutely fantastic. If you are pitching today, go kill it. hopefully this was sort of a good primer, like you've settled yourself down and you're ready to go. And for our writers attending, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Everyone have the happiest of holidays, and I will see you all in the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Keep